Welcome to Double E Elevating Entrepreneurs. I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Leslie. She has an exciting brand called Tru-Eden. It's all organic, natural toothpaste. Why don't you say hi to the audience?
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here with Elizabeth.
Yes, we're excited to have you. So Leslie has been working on her toothpaste since 2009. She actually launched in the middle of the pandemic in 2022. And she has a very inspiring story of how she started her brand. So why don't you tell us a little bit about where the name came from and how you actually started? Because she didn't start it as a business. She actually started it to help cure something. So I'd love for her to share her story because it gave me goosebumps when I first heard it.
Okay, let's jump right in, I guess. Okay. Well, yes, I guess, the name, you asked about the name. I wanted whatever the toothpaste does to be so close to the Garden of Eden, like no chemicals, bad chemicals, just natural, pure, organic. So that's why I picked Tru-Eden. And I started it, they say that necessity is the mother of invention. And that's exactly how Tru-Eden toothpaste started. So my daughter was gravely ill. They gave her 25% survival rate. So from the age of 5 to 9, she became really sick. Her immune system dropped. They didn't know what was going on. And by the time she hit 9, we started seeing hematologists now. Let's see what's wrong with her blood. And then they finally found out that she had a blood disorder that was affecting her immune system. And it was a cyst that was growing in here, turned into a tumor. So now it started penetrating to the brain.
That's so scary.
It's super scary, especially when parents hear 25% survival rate.
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, we want 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm like, of course, as a parent, I panicked. I'm a registered nurse, so I really relied 100% on what conventional medicine would do. But from the age of 5 to 9, conventional medicine started adding more medications. So by the time she was 9, she was already on 7 medications. 2 were steroids, and these were ongoing, like daily. And now they wanted to add the chemo pill. And because I was a bone marrow transplant nurse, I feared chemotherapy. I know it brings benefits, but we're like, she's 9 years old. So it freaked me out because I know what the side effects can do and have done. So at this point now, my daughter's like living in the hospital. Our life was very limited. I'm still caring for 4 kids. 2 were teenagers, and Elise was 9 by this point. Mark was 7. Working full time, it was very difficult. So at this point, she's not eating, she's not drinking. She was allergic to anything under the sun. She couldn't even go to school. She missed her all 4th grade. She had to redo it. So all this to say that I thought if I can just do this one thing and have her enjoy a meal with us, because she couldn't even do that. Mission accomplished for mom, right? And that's how the toothpaste began, because the toothpaste that she would use would give her more of a mouth infection because of the strong, harsh chemicals, especially when your immune system is down. Anything can affect you. I mean, even the air that you breathe, the areas that you go to, we'd have to go into we'd have to leave buildings because whatever dust mites were there, maybe some hidden mold that she would detect, she was just getting sick. So being a bone marrow transplant nurse, when our patient's immune system goes down with chemotherapy, radiation, we do a little concoction for them to kind of swish and swallow. So the toothpaste has a couple of these ingredients in there, which are natural. I mean, all the 7 ingredients that I have are probably stuff you carry in your own cupboard.
Yeah, what are the ingredients, and how did you come up with the ingredients? So you mentioned that, you are a bone marrow nurse, so you're obviously well-versed in medicine and how that works. So why did you guys give them that concoction, and how did you guys come up with that, and then how did you come up with your ingredients?
Good question. Good question. I'm not the genius here, so obviously someone came up with that. So what it was that our patients would get thrush, and either a yeast infection, bacterial, viral in their mouth, so they couldn't eat and drink and do anything. So it was all through the IV, right? And so then we would do a concoction with baking soda, some hydrogen peroxide, and believe it or not, like a little bit of Pepto-Bismol, right, to coat everything.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a swish and swallow. Although I don't have that ingredient in my toothpaste, right? So
good, because I don't really like that stuff.
So I started off with the 2, which was the baking soda and hydrogen peroxide. But a 9-year-old, I mean, that was disgusting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I would do it with her. And I thought, this poor girl's here dry heaving, trying to brush her teeth or at least swish it, right? Not even having to swallow it. And to start killing the bacteria she had in her mouth because her immune system had dropped. By the way, the dirtiest part of the human body is the oral cavity. Don't think they're the hand. Don't think it's anything back there. It is your mouth. Look it up. It's all there for you to see. So that's the first. It really is. So we got to be careful who we are close with, right?
Yeah.
That's why when COVID came, we were like, the 6 feet apart, right? Because there is truth in that. You don't want to be affected by that, especially if someone has like bad, oral care, not good hygiene. So that's kind of, so be careful who you're kissing to, right? So I started off with that, and I thought, well, surely I can do it better. So I began to research stuff. Again, Google didn't have all the information we have now. So back in 2009, it was like limited. So I'd go to the library, I'd ask physicians, I asked everyone that I knew had some knowledge of health. And then I started going more towards the holistic part of health. Now, as a conventional nurse, we consider quacks anyone that does anything out of what is in the, what is suggested to take as medications.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that later too.
Yeah.
So we'll get in more depth about that.
We'll get to that, yes.
Yeah.
So then I started adding one more ingredient. So I have the baking soda. I hope I can remember all of them. I have the baking soda. I have vegetable glycerin. So it wouldn't be too watery. I thought that can be a nice little mixer. And all of these 7 ingredients have amazing healing properties. I mean, it's fabulous. I have xanthan gum. Actually, that was the last one to put all my ingredients together because I didn't know what can solidify and make it more like a paste. And then it took years. So I kind of say it so quickly. This from 2009, it took years for me to develop the toothpaste that I have now. It's just a lot of patience and dedication. I tell people, if you really have a passion to do something, if you got those 2 things, your dedication, and you really have to be really, truly dedicated and determined to do something, you will get to it. Yeah. So I also have... I have 2 flavors right now, which is spearmint and peppermint. I want to have more, like make it a little bit more. My grandkids use it. They use the spearmint, but I want younger kids to do it. Like these are my older grandkids, so they're 12 and 13. But I'd like for the little ones, the 4, the 5-year-olds, and the 2-year-olds to try it. So I'm thinking something more friendly like vanilla, but vanilla is so expensive, right? And I do use organic. Yeah. It's so expensive, but it's beautiful. It's just amazing. So I mentioned a baking soda, vegetable glycerin, xanthan gum. I have hydrogen peroxide, and I have the essential oil that I use. I have my superpower ingredient, coconut oil, and what I call my liquid gold is oil of oregano. So
interesting.
Those of you that know, we cook with it, right? We cook with it. But for those of you that know the amazing healing properties of oil of oregano, and it's just phenomenal what it has done. So just research. I tell people, don't go by what I'm saying. Don't go by what you hear on social media. Really research. Is it evidence-based? Is it a scholarly article? Get all your facts right before you decide to do whatever it is that you're doing. And that's exactly what I did when I did the toothpaste. So
how did you pick the ingredients? So other than the 2 that you knew from work to help with the thrush, how did you pick the other ones? A bunch of research or? A
ton of research, and I got the brightest minds around me. I would ask people. So now I did my part of asking all conventional physicians, doctors, nurses, people in nutrition. Now I wanted to know what these quacks were doing because all of a sudden I started researching, wait a minute, if you do this, it's all in your backyard, right? Just use it and you'll be fine. When I began to start researching that, I put those 2 together and they made for this amazing amazing marrying together was like, wow, that was a powerhouse of healing. So I don't discard all of conventional medicine. I do use it when it's needed. I don't say, no, don't use medicines. No, we do need medication, right? But for my journey and my daughter to actually eat with us, heal the thrush there, I did have to go holistic on that. I did. Absolutely.
And so what made you know or realize this is what your daughter needed? Because, I was talking to you earlier and you were saying it was for years, right, that she was sick and in and out of hospitals, and that's kind of where you were living. And they were giving her all these medications, adding these things. And then you found out over time it was fungal, right? And so what made you make that click that this is what you needed to do? And I know your husband at the time was also very skeptical.
Oh my, yes.
And how did you overcome all of that, and what led you to realizing that's what your daughter needed?
It was not easy. I mean, I say it now with a smile on my face. I had lots of tears. Lots of sleepless nights, and sometimes I wouldn't even sleep because I was working night shift as a nurse. So during the day, I still had to function as mom, as nurse to my daughter, as putting the whole house together, right? So it did bring tension in the marriage, I kid you not. It was very difficult. I tell people, hang in there, things will get better. So when I started with those two initial, which was the baking soda and hydrogen peroxide, and I saw a little bit of a change in her within 2 days. I was like looking in there, I'd inspect. I mean, my family, not just my immediate nuclear family, but even friends, really close friends and distant family, they became real distant from me because now Leslie's going crazy. Leslie has this thought that she can cure Elise when the doctors say there is no cure for this. And her life is going to be short, and Leslie doesn't want to accept that there's 25% survival rate. She needed to go to MD Anderson and get the surgery to get the tumor out, and I refused to have it done. I know this sounds crazy. Sometimes I tell people, follow your gut instinct. Obviously not all the time, but when to follow that gut instinct, when it's going to shift something in eternity. And that's how I look at things. If it's going to shift, I call it like when heaven meets earth, that phenomenon, when heaven meets earth. If there's something here that you really need, and it's somewhere up there, all you got to do is tap into it, right? So when I saw the changes and I said, wow, this is working, people would say, you're crazy. She's still sick, but I noticed the difference. So then with the research, I added one more because I started reading, well, what restores? What is going to start regenerating everything? What is going to stop killing that bad infection? So that's how I came up with every single ingredient. Again, it took years. But by the time her and I were only doing it at home because I had to be next to her so she can do it, right? It was like I was kind of encouraging her, you got this, you can do this, right? And she'd be, this is ugly, this is disgusting, right? It did improve. So I became a mad scientist. In my kitchen, I was like, I had everything. I would make sure everyone was asleep. I had my notebook, which I still have that notebook from 2009. Wow. And you see every single change that I did. And it's hilarious because I'm going, this was wrong. Why would I even think of? So I put my own notes of why I did what I did at that moment and how could I improve it. So as a matter of fact, I still use it. Last year was the last time I stopped tweaking it because I said, I got it. This is it.
That's awesome.
It was not easy. I became disconnected for a little bit. They say that all of these mad people at the beginning look mad. Edison, he was crazy. He's a nut, You think of all these people. Einstein, what the heck? And all of a sudden, bam, a creation comes out of that. Just be patient with people like that. Something good will come out of it.
That's awesome. So you said you noticed a change in her and her starting to heal. What are some things that you noticed?
So I noticed the coloring in her lips. It was more rosier versus ashen. Ashen means lack of circulation, can mean death to that area. I started noticing that. The tongue, it was now getting pink. Her teeth. And And so her and I did it, and I was a coffee drinker. I still am. I mean, here's my big little thing for the day. I am a coffee drinker, so my teeth were yellow, you know, and I worked night shift. All of a sudden, I'm starting getting these compliments. Well, Leslie, did you get your teeth whitened? Where back then that wasn't super common, and it was like only the people that had more money back in 2009 would have their white teeth, you know, because insurance wasn't going to cover that. So I was like, no. And I remember my husband then would tell me, oh, that's disgusting. When he saw the change in my mouth, because he is also a coffee drinker, he said, can I try some of that? Because he would criticize me. He'd say, oh, no, that's disgusting. No, but if it's working for Elise, have her use it, right? And then he began to use it. And then family members were, now I was like, oh, let's try what Leslie has, right? You know, they forgot about me being crazy for a season, right, of doing this. And now Elise was now healed up. So this is what really pushed my journey into being more holistic in care, in healthcare, because it started with this, and all of a sudden I started changing the cupboards in my home. You know, my teenage boys were going, Mom, why don't we have all these fun, yummy snacks that we used to? My pantries were empty. They were literally anything in a box that had a date on it was no longer in existence there, because I needed to get her really strong, and I had to clean everything out. Now we started integrating little by little this stuff, right? But everything has a balance. And here in America, we don't know how to keep that balance. We go to extremes.
So you were like resetting her body.
Absolutely. That's exactly it. I was resetting it, and the best way to do it is to strip everything it has. Even the water I would buy, I made sure it didn't have fluoride. I mean, it got expensive.
Yeah, fluoride is not good for you.
You know, I mean, we have a little bit of it in our water, right? I think the excess of it is very damaging. And if you're brushing your teeth with toothpaste that has fluoride, especially for women, I mean, our thyroid is right here. That's why there's a lot of thyroid issues in women. If you research it, it's right there. The CDC says it all there. I tell people, don't listen to me. It's all there. Just plug it in. We have the world here in the palm of our hands with our phones, right?
It's true.
Yes, we can't live without it, but it's all there. You know, just make sure you're getting it from a good source. Don't just get it from some mom that decided to make something out of her kitchen. I'm being sarcastic about that because that's how I started. But I researched before I did stuff. And maybe because my education pushed me to do that, because I believe that evidence-based stuff and even scholarly articles, a peer review is huge also. But get different types of peers, not just the ones you hang out with, other minds. They will start changing. So then I began having her change everything about her. I would have her rinse her nose because I knew that she had, the problem was here. For her, it was here. Actually, it got to the lungs now. And now it's getting to the brain. So when I refused the surgery, because the surgery was going to stop her for the rest of her life from having scent or taste, and I didn't want that.
Wow.
I thought, how is she going to smell her babies? How is she going to smell the roses outside? How is she going to smell food? I said, I can't do this. It's like my gut feeling said, don't do it. And so I pushed myself to find a cure. I don't care if you tell me there is no cure. I'm going to try and prove you wrong. And maybe as a nurse, that's what we do. When we get patients, we're believing they're going to walk out of here fine. Even for a code, we're doing codes. Sometimes I'll have the doctors kind of tap me, Leslie, we've called time of death. And it's 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Guys, let's keep going. Because that's what we do in the medical field. We do not take, like, death is not the last. We're like, no, let's see how, that's what we're there for, right? Right. Life.
That's awesome. And so you originally noticed when you were working, you know, in the hospital as a bone marrow nurse, what you guys would do with the hydrogen peroxide in the baking soda to help cure the
thrush.
The thrush. Sorry, I blanked for a second. The thrush. And what did you notice when just those two ingredients were used? What kind of change did you see?
So when we have infection, our body will go to the acid side. So we have our pH balance, right?
Right.
We have acid and we have the alkaline. When the perfect balance, homeostasis, is right in the middle. So not too much acid, not too much alkaline, but just kind of right there. Well, people that get chemotherapy, radiation, people that have cancer, heck, if you have the flu, if you do the strip test to see, it'll be acid. So I tell people that's how you monitor when you're healing, when you're sick. Buy it. It's at Sprouts. It's at Whole Foods. They sell those little strips. It's probably on Amazon, right? But we lived with those strips because I wanted to know, is Elise improving? Is she not? So I started doing that. I had her lick it. But we would also, when our patients are too acidic in the hospital, we give them an IV fluid of baking soda.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yes.
I never knew
So
that.
people don't know that. So we did that a lot. That's how we check the pH balance. Oh my gosh, they're too acidic. Let's bring them back. Let's pull all this back to center it, right? So
Homeostasis,
homeostasis. So I knew that that was going to heal that. I just didn't know, would it heal it on her, because she didn't have cancer that they said she had cancer, but yet they wanted to give her some chemotherapy because they weren't sure unless they got in there and took it out. So, I wanted to say, so I started draining her nose with a little machine. And so this little 9-year-old, she would do it every day, 3 times a day. 3 times a day. So I'm here in the kitchen one day, and I hear this big old yell. Like, ah! I drop everything. I run into the restroom, and she was rinsing her nose. And she's holding her face now. And she's like, oh, my gosh. I'm like, what happened, sweetie? So she points it inside the sink.
Came out.
That tumor came out because it was in the sinuses.
That's a miracle.
And they told me the only way that would come out was through surgery.
Oh, wow.
Baloney. It came out. I was like,
Oh my gosh,
what the heck? It had this weird coloring. It was weird. I was like, oh my goodness. And then she went, oh my gosh, I feel different. See, this girl had that for so many years.
Yeah.
She didn't know what it felt like. And she went, and I was like, bam.
Oh my
This
gosh,
is it.
I'd be crying.
I cannot go back
Yeah.
to the conventional way that I knew because it didn't help.
It wasn't working.
It wasn't working. I mean,
All
if it's
that
working
medicine.
all that medicine, all those years, she was deprived from the age of 5 to 9 to be like a child.
Oh.
Going to parties, having friends. She kind of became a recluse. So I knew that started working, and then I got excited. I got excited. I said, if I can do this, maybe I can find the cure to many other things.
Yeah.
And that's what I started doing. And I still do it. I love it.
That's awesome. Still doing research and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I'm passionate about research.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. And I know earlier you were saying that, the mouth is the dirtiest part of the body. Why is that?
Let's think about that one. Okay. It's very moist. Bacteria love moisture. It's very dark. Bacteria love dark because it reproduces, and it's very hot. All those 3 ingredients are just perfect for a bacteria, virus, fungus, you name it, to start reproducing by the second. By the second. So that's why it's the dirtiest part of the entire human body. So in the hospital, in the ER, when we have a patient that they say, oh, we got a patient that got bit, our fear as nurses and doctors is, is it a human bite or an animal bite? Because animal bites, we can take care of like that. Human bites, nope. As a matter of fact, it can get systemic if it goes really deep into the veins.
Oh, wow.
And you die. And now we're dealing, or sometimes people get their arm amputated. I mean, that's how dirty this is. So I tell people, please don't just go out and be kissing people. Seriously, you don't know what you're putting in your mouth. Even sharing drinks, be cautious.
Yeah, my mom's big about that. She hates sharing drinks.
Yes,
she's all about germaphobe and all that.
Yes, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
because
microbes.
Germs reproduce. Yes, we can't see them, but they're there.
Yeah.
Do you know that you can transfer cavity from one mouth to another?
No.
You can transfer cavities.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
It's out there. Everyone research it. You will see it, and you'll become a researcher for life because you're like, I love this.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, it sounds like it's like a breeding ground for bacteria. It's kind of gross.
That's exactly what it is. They love it.
Oh, it takes me back to like biology class.
Yes, I mean, you see it,
Because you study the cells and how they like multiply, and you put them under like a heat lamp.
Yes. So what happens like with cancer cells? I know this is kind of a little segue into something else, but that's the same thing. It's a chemical. I mean, cancer cells, your natural cells are affected by whatever chemical hit it, whatever foreign object hit it, and now it's reproducing. That's why it becomes into a tumor. It's not normal. Even that can be stopped.
Wow. That's awesome. And then I was reading some of your testimony, so your website, tru-eden.com, and what are some of the things that it has cured in other people that you've noticed?
So what's crazy is I didn't know that it did all this until last year.
Okay.
Like clueless. Because again, the only ones that would have my toothpaste when I'd make a batch were just family members and maybe a couple of real close friends.
Right.
But these were people that didn't have any oral cavity mouth issues, right? So I never heard anything from them other than, man, my teeth look good. My dentist says, I have no cavities. It looks great. Wonderful. But then people, so I gave 2021, I gave 100 away to strangers.
Wow.
I didn't want to know them.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
100 full return, though. That's awesome.
98 of them gave me their, 2 of them I never communicated. They never communicated with me. But 98 got back to me.
Wow. And that's incredible statistics, actually.
Yes, it is, because it made an impact.
Wow.
It made a huge impact. So some people told me I had gingivitis. It's cured. I had periodontitis, which is worse than gingivitis. And I was doing treatments.
What are those? Because people don't know what those are.
Okay, so gingivitis is an inflammation to your gums. Okay, that's really bad because once that gets really bad, it turns into periodontitis. And now we're thinking it's going to penetrate through what's right here, our heart. So we have heart issues. Our lymph nodes.
Scary. Now
we have other issues. I mean, it gives you other problems in your organs, in your systemic system. So that's why I've been a cardiac nurse for the most part. I love cardiac. So anytime we see bad oral health, it correlates with their bad heart.
So what are some signs or symptoms that people should be aware of?
Bleeding gums. Bleeding gums. If you brush your teeth and there's bleeding gums, you have gingivitis or periodontitis. Okay? Bleeding gums, inflammation, it hurts. You'll see the gums are receding down. Okay, you'll see it. People know what I'm talking about when they have it. They're like, oh, is that what it is? Just pain, and the gums do change a little bit of the color. It's not nice and pink. If you see mine, it's
super
just
pink.
Full of life. I can tell a lot by just looking at a person's smile how healthy their heart is. I can tell a lot, or how healthy their overall health is. So a lot of times when I'm looking at people, they think, wow, she's so nosy. What's she looking at my lips for? No, I'm looking at your teeth. That's my passion. I want to know what your teeth look. I want to know I can tell a lot by the tongue.
Yeah.
How your tongue looks. I can tell how your health is. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. My mom also likes to stare at teeth.
Yes. So.
And gums. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah, I've heard that. And I've heard also by the eyes. And
oh, gosh, the eyes. The eyes, underneath the eyes, the coloring of the eyes, how clear it is. Is it yellow? We got liver problems. You have bags underneath. Could be other issues. Could be people that, drink some alcohol. I mean, I can tell a lot I can tell when people are using certain medications. It changes certain parts of their bodies, steroids.
Wow.
I can tell. So it's the more you're exposed to it, the more you see it. I worked in the cardiac unit, so there's a huge correlation with your oral health and your heart. Huge. Look it up. Yeah. It's all there. It's evidence-based.
That's really important to know and to invest in. Give yourself good products. So with that being said, since you had a career that grew up in conventional medicine, how is it having this brand that goes against conventional and is different from what people say? How is that?
So I got my patent last year. So when I got the patent, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it, right? Because COVID did change everything for me. I lost my job as a registered nurse because all of elective surgery closed. So I'm home. I'm like feeling sorry for myself. And it just took about maybe a month. I was laid off or furloughed March 16th. And in May, I just woke up one day and I said, wait a minute. I should have been a teacher because they have jobs. Nurses, a lot of my nurse friends got laid off, furloughed, right? A lot of them still have not gone back. Still have not. So if you Google, last year was what we call the exit of the nurses, because a lot of them just kind of said, I'm not going to do this, So while I was there, I went home and I said, wait a minute, I'm going to do my toothpaste. Maybe that can bring some income. And I was like, Leslie, no one's going to want to use your toothpaste because it's related to oral stuff. We're all trying to get away from people oral. I'm like, no,
right. There was a lot of fear.
This is perfect because now we're using masks. Now we just added on more for the bacteria to grow.
Right, and you smell your own breath, so I'm sure you can get a lot of customers that way.
Yeah. And now bacteria is really multiplying. So dentists got real rich last year because so many people had cavities. It's out there. It's research. It's all there. So why this compared to that? So when I got the patent done, I didn't know this, but there's red, yellow, and green for the patent levels. Depending on how much it'll be, is it worth doing a patent? And I didn't know you had to go through it legally, like really legally. So if it's not worth patent worthy, you can't have a patent. You spend all this money, and it still won't be a patent. So they called me up. The attorney called me up, and he said, Leslie, your patent is a green. And I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, no one out there has your packaging, what's in there. No one. And they did the United States, I want to say Canada and UK. No one. So yours is green. This is easy peasy. So I am not in competition with any other toothpaste. No one can compete against me.
That's awesome.
Bring me any toothpaste. I will put this on the test. There is none that will compete against this. So when I knew Elise needed toothpaste to help with the oral cavity because she was so sick, before I decided to do my toothpaste, I bought close to 100 toothpaste tubes.
Oh, wow. Like different types. And were they organic?
Yeah. And organic back then wasn't very common. 2009 was not. I went out to the UK online to buy. Canada, I bought, and the most expensive toothpaste I bought was $98 for 16 ounces.
Wow.
$98.
Was that one organic?
Part organic. But then there were chemicals in the back. So if you could just have one thing that is organic, you can put it as organic. People don't know that.
One ingredient.
I don't remember. Maybe it was a mint of some sort. But again, I wasn't into looking at what was behind. What does my toothpaste say behind? I wasn't into that. It was afterwards that I said, wait a minute, I need to research. And when I looked at my toothpaste tube, the back, for the first time, it gave me a warning sign. Look at your toothpaste tube in the back. It gives you a warning sign.
Oh, wow.
Have you looked at yours?
I use Tom's. I haven't.
Have you looked at Tom's?
No, I haven't.
No one looks at the back of the tube. I'm going to switch
to Eden. Tru-Eden.
Yeah, no one looks at the back. It tells you exactly. If you swallow it, call the poison control or go to the nearest ER. Because
that's scary.
Those little clients, I call them clients in the hospital because they bring business to the hospital. The little kids, adults, we're not going to get a tube and suck it and eat it.
Oh,
kids do because it smells so good, it tastes so good.
The bubblegum flavor especially, probably.
Oh, my goodness. Now, kids' toothpaste, it's just recent that we started making some without fluoride. Well, back then they were all with fluoride. So those little kids used to come to our ER sick now, and we're like, well, what happened in the last 24 hours? Oh, yeah, by the way, they ate the whole toothpaste tube or half of it. You know what we have to do immediately?
Pump their stomach.
We have to give them charcoal. Because if we don't, within a few hours, we're taking them to the ICU, starting massive antibiotics, and hope they live. That's how dangerous it is. So there is
charcoal is very purifying for the body, too.
It is. It'll just bind the bad stuff and get it out. But too much charcoal is not good.
Either. Yeah.
research it too much. So this is a perfect balance. Of what your oral cavity needs for homeostasis. And it took years to develop.
Wow.
So, and I mean, I'm passionate, and I just want people to, you know, try it for their health. I've had one of the ladies that I ended up giving a toothpaste tube. I didn't know she lived in a trailer park area. She didn't have any dental insurance, and I gave her one. And she always had her mouth. She never smiled. Smiled. And I briefly met her and was like, "Yeah, I'd like for you to try it." And she was in tears. She told me, Leslie, and she bought 24.
Wow.
And she said, I need to give it to all my family because we all have the same oral cavity problems. Okay, so sometimes saliva is hereditary.
Oh, wow.
So if one family member has maybe problems with too much gingivitis or maybe too acidic, maybe their children will have it too. So saliva can also be hereditary given, depending on how the balance is in there. So there's so many. So there's, like I said, there's no one that can compete against Tru-Eden. I'll take that challenge because I know nothing will beat it. Just so I've had the testimonies. It's reversed my cavities, gingivitis gone, periodontitis gone. Of course, the teeth whitening is like a given. It's just going to whiten your teeth naturally because you know the people that get it whitened with the whatever chlorine type things.
I've used that before.
Yeah, and you can tell. Like I can tell, and I go, oh yeah, that's a chemical that they went to get done.
It
doesn't look natural. Yeah.
Actually, I was going to share that with you because I got them from the orthodontist. And literally I left them on and it stung. Like it actually hurt. And so I haven't used it. Spent like over $100 and something on it, like $150. And it's not even that many strips. And I'm like, this is unnatural. This is like, it was painful. So there's definitely a chemical in there.
It's a strong chemical. So people that use the whiteners that are from the dentist, after 3 years, they'll have very severe problems. Now they have gum problems, but now they have root tooth problems.
Oh, because it's eating at the enamel, right?
It's not really eating at it. It's weakening the root. So you have sensitivity to water, to eating, it is awful. So I tell people, please, see the chemicals that are behind there. If you can't pronounce it, don't ingest it. Digestion starts in your mouth. That's why we give medications in the hospital under the tongue and inside the cheek, because it starts absorbing. Well, we're doing that with your toothpaste. Just a little bit at a time, You know, but for people that have real low immune system, and you all know out there, if you do, it is very difficult to have a happy mouth.
Yeah.
Because the toothpaste you're using is making it worse.
And I like your little tagline too. You say, change your smile, change your life, but you really are doing that. So
it changed our life.
Yeah.
It saved my daughter's life. So
it's incredible.
Changed her smile. We now have a smile because my daughter's now 21. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, it's just, and again, sometimes you hope not to be that person to discover something because that means you would have to go through that trial. Right. And only passionate people will discover things because they're so desperate for that cure. That's where I was. It was like almost a perfect combination that someone asked me, would you go through that all over again? And to be honest, I said, yes, I would.
Yeah.
Because it's helping so many people. It sacrificed, my daughter, us. It was lots of tension and sadness and not knowing, the fear of the unknown. Will she be here in her teens? They told me she's very limited of a life, and I was freaking out. It was. I can either agree to the negative, or say, whoa, wait a minute, no. There's got to be something, and I would flip every rock, boom, boom, boom. There's got to be a cure, something. I'm not just gonna settle. I cannot settle.
Right. You had to do, necessity breeds invention, like you said, and you were faced with like a very serious life or death situation, and it made you create something that was a miracle. So
I believe
awesome.
that, yeah. So I call that
feel
when
like
heaven
God
meets
stepped
earth.
in.
Yes,
Yeah.
when heaven meets earth, bam, it just happened. But there has
awesome.
to be this need here.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Right.
Is there a need here? Then let's get it.
It's like it gave you that driven purpose and that fire to make it happen. So that's incredible. I know, too, you were recently featured on, or your product was featured on Love is Blind, and you were also on the podcast with Nick. So can you share about how that came about? Like, I heard that you were, there's a bunch of messages, and he somehow found yours. So what exactly happened there? Tell us more.
So season 2, when it started, it was like in the middle of February of this year. So I don't really watch reality shows. So my son's like, because he knows now that, I was in my dating season now. He's like, Mom, you need to watch this. Wouldn't it be cool if you'd be on it? I'm like, oh, gosh. So when I watched the part where Nick says, I make my own toothpaste, right? It's like my ears perked up. I was like, what? There's another crazy out there like me that makes toothpaste? So I was like, wow. Okay. So I decided to message him, right? And he responded. And he said, he told me this, and I want to believe this is exactly how he said it. He said, Leslie, I didn't have many followers because this is right when the show came out. So people were becoming aware of, who are all the people in the pods, right? Let's find them on Instagram. And he said, yours was the very first message that got to me once the show started. And he said, maybe if it would have later on, I don't know, because he's got thousands upon thousands. Right.
He said his Instagram blew up.
Yeah. He said, so that
number
was
went crazy.
It was the perfect time, right? It was like the perfect time. And then he became curious, and I told him, I'll send you a bottle. And he's like, because it's not a tube, right? It's a bottle.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, hooked. He keeps ordering. I'm like, Nick, don't order. Just ask me and I'll mail it to you. Yeah. But then I look, just 2 days ago, I'm like, oh, dang it, Nick did it again. He ordered again. So I tend to put extra in there for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
I do, because he's awesome. So then he started his journey of starting his own podcast with many, for example, like you, bringing awareness to people about interesting subjects. And then he asked me, I would like for you to be on it. I was like thrilled. I was like, of course. And we're on the same page when it comes to natural, organic. What are you, ingesting? What are you drinking? Make sure, so it's kind of nice when you meet people that kind of have that same spirit, same type of goal, like-minded people.
Right.
So it was like the podcast, like with you, it's very smooth, very easy. I felt very comfortable because, he understood.
Right.
And I know for your viewers, this might be new for them.
Oh, I'm sure for a lot of people. A lot of people don't even do organic food that they're eating. Yeah. So, yeah.
It is. It is. And I just tell people, do things in moderation, have a balance. I mean, I go ahead and I have in and out, but I don't have it all the time.
Right.
I'll go out and, fry some stuff or get something from a box or a bag of chips, but it's not an all the time thing because I know what it's going to do to my health. I take care of those people. I see the difference when they're in their 70s. I see the very little bit handful of people in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s that are healthy, that have been active, that are doing the right things for their health. And I see the ones that have not. Huge difference. These are walking. They're still driving. And these guys are dependent on a walker, on all these medications, and these are not. I've seen this for 20 years. So it also helped me do this because I see there is a better way. Why not do it? So now it's about bringing awareness to people. Guys, and now if you notice this craze of everyone wants to get fit, everyone wants to look good and exercise, which is good. Because if you look at the Golden Girls, do you know the show The Golden Girls? Okay, so the Golden Girls, well, they were my age. It's very different. Now people are being more aware of how not to just act old into that age, but really there is more life to us than what we see. So let's act upon it. Let's do it because it makes you feel good. It brings endorphins. It restores your body. Again, like I say, when I see mouths, I can see how healthy an individual is. And I'm not talking about the strips because those aren't obvious. It's like true. I look at the tongue. I look at the teeth. I look at the gums. I look at the lips, everything. It just tells you the health of a person. It's huge.
That's awesome. Well, show us your bottles. I want to see a little closer.
Thank you. So, of course, green is my favorite color, by the way. And I also have my little
love
logo
this.
here.
Oh,
Cute,
your little
cute.
shirt. I love
Yes,
that.
my daughter-in-law made this for me, and back there it says
So
Tru-Eden.
sweet.
And so the light green is for spearmint, and the type B for bold. And I call it type
Peppermint.
A awaken because it will awaken everything there. And the reason why I have this as bold, it's for those people that like that stronger, kind of spicier taste, like heat's coming out of your mouth. It's like fire. This is it, okay? But they both do the same thing. They both heal, restore. They whiten your teeth. I mean, it's just phenomenal. So the bottles are BPA free, made in the USA, FDA approved.
That's amazing.
Also, a lot of the tubes that we use for toothpaste tubes have aluminum in there. That's the only way you can really squeeze them. So, and it is porous. So
yeah, your bottle
do you
feels
want,
different.
Yeah. So do you,
BPA free is good.
Yeah, very good. So, and everything that I get is here in the United States. And it's all top level stuff. And it is, this bottle that has 5 ounces is $15.
Okay.
You know, people go, well, I can get my Colgate or Crest for $1.99 or $2.99 or whatever. I'm like, that's fine. Keep using it. Is it working?
Yeah.
You know, go ahead, go for it, you know. Is you want to, you know, it's different. Do you want to go to Cracker Barrel and eat, or do you want to go to Bob's Steakhouse to eat? It's huge difference.
Right.
It's the grade.
The quality.
It's just the quality, the grade, what it's actually doing. All it needs is one time that you try it, you're going to go, oh, my goodness. I've had people tell me, I felt like someone violated my mouth. It's like, whoa, what just happened? It's just different.
So do you have to shake it before you use it?
Only for the first time, because
Okay.
these are sitting and it has the oil. It's like any oil, it'll settle, kind of like if you have a dressing, the oil settled. Just shake it. It's the first time. And then I put it upside down, and that's how I use it.
Okay.
I use both. People have asked me.
And
so
just
which
a
one's
little
your
bit
favorite?
like you get on your toothbrush.
The
like
same amount. You
same
don't. You
amount.
treat it like you would your toothpaste at home. The only thing is that this does not foam.
Okay.
So don't expect it to foam. For the first time, you're going to taste it salty and weird. I tell people, give it 3 days. You will not, because right now, the pH balances just went through a shock.
Right.
And then I tell people, try this for about 2 weeks, and then go back to your old toothpaste and let me know what you think. And they're like, oh my goodness. I can taste every single bad chemical in the old toothpaste, and it did nothing. I mean, it's just, like I said, this is patented. It was green. No one has this out there.
That's awesome.
And just simple ingredients that you have at home.
I love that.
And it's how you mix it. And if I mix one of the ingredients before the other, it ruins.
Oh.
It took me years.
It's very specific.
Very specific. It took me years, and I'm going, this can't be what's going on. So that's why I have my note. Why did this happen? It didn't clump last time, or now it did this. Why did it break here? What? So everything, and then until I was like, wow, this is my formula now. I don't have to change it anymore. This is awesome.
That's awesome. So how did you go about getting your patent and then also getting FDA approved?
No,
Because those are huge accomplishments.
the
Well, obviously the
toothpaste-
patent to make the product,
Yes,
you had to have that.
Yeah, the toothpaste is not FDA approved. FDA approved would only do it if it's fluoride.
Oh. Okay.
I don't want fluoride here.
No.
I don't want FDA approved. I get away
So the bottle is.
from the bottle.
Okay.
The bottle. Because remember, the bottles release the chemicals from the bottles or the tubes
Yeah.
that go in there. And you want to make sure that there's no aluminum in your tube, which there is. So you're also consuming aluminum. I mean, there's so many. I got into the details of this. I studied everything, especially when COVID came. It was fun for me. I had all this time off, and now I'm becoming a mad scientist and a researcher, and I love this. And it was awesome, you know.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Thank you. I think it's phenomenal. So you made the transition to own the business because you had lost your job during COVID as a nurse. And so just walk us through for a couple of minutes about how the actual transition went from, because it was originally just your family.
Yeah.
And then you were like, no, I'm going to birth this into a business.
Well, honestly, I don't know that I said I'm going to birth it into a business. I thought, well, maybe this would do something, right? I still consider it the most awesome hobby I have.
Love that.
It's the most awesome hobby I have. It is not like a business for me. I had to get the website. I had to do all the right things. I had to do my LLC because now people were buying.
Right.
That's the only reason why I did it. If not, I'd just be selling it from the back of my trunk. Here, guys. Here. I even give some away. I have a certain amount a month that I give away.
Okay.
With people that I know may not want to spend $15, but I know they need it. And that's the nurse in me. It's like, no, you need this. Here, I have some here. Take it. I will give it.
You're like, let me help
there's, Elizabeth, if I can give this all for free, I would.
Yeah.
I would give it to every household here in America for free. Unfortunately, I can't and I'm still working full time.
Yeah.
I'm still a nurse, and now I've transitioned into education. So I'm still a nurse and do teaching for certified nurse assistants. So I still have to do this. So this is the most awesomest hobby I can ever have. Will it take off one day? Would I love to go to Shark Tank one day? Absolutely.
Yes, that would be
if I
so
can get
cool.
Mark Cuban, if I can get this in his hands, it'll change his life. Change his smile and his life.
That's awesome. And then how did you come up with your logo?
So my son has a friend that did logos and stuff. So I told him, this is my vision of my toothpaste. And literally within 10 minutes, he gave me the logo. And I picked the name, and I told him I want a natural, more organic-y, like a garden type. Like I said, just pretend you just walked into the Garden of Eden. What do you see? And within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, he's like, oh, this is what I came up with. And I got the message, in the email, this is what I came up with. And I said, surely this guy's not good. And when I opened it, I said, that's it. That's my heart. That's it. I loved it.
That's awesome.
And then I just kept it. But I did the whole label myself. Because remember, I had time in 2020.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I did the whole label, everything.
That's
I did it all. I don't know how it was just when you have time in your hands, take advantage of it. Ideas will start coming in. Creations will start coming in. And it's kind of fun. So that's when I did a whole bunch of stuff.
That's awesome. And do you recommend people use one ahead of the other? Or can they do one in the morning and one at night? Or does it really matter? Because I know they're different flavors because, you have that.
No, I have both.
Okay.
In my bathroom on the counter, I have both.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I want to feel like, I will do this one.
Yeah.
But this one has kind of like the Wrigley's gum type spearmint flavor. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people like that bubble gum type taste, and they'll do this. But I have both because I can. So I just use it whenever I feel like A or I feel like type B.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's just depending on the people's, I guess, what are they using now? Do they use a peppermint toothpaste? Do you use a spearmint toothpaste? Like, kind of, you can gauge it that way. Nick uses spearmint.
Okay. Awesome.
So
yeah, if you're a fan of Nick, maybe you want to copy that and buy the spearmint.
Yeah, it's just.
But
he's tried both. I gave him a sample of both, and he's like, oh no, hands down spearmint for me.
That's awesome. And then, what challenges or obstacles did you overcome while you were building your brand? I know you mentioned a little before about your family. How did you work through that? Because I know there's also a lot of people that are building a business, and they might face a lot of obstacles with family, thinking that they're also crazy for whatever they're building or balancing a job and a business on the side. So how did you overcome those? And are there any other challenges that you faced?
Yeah, I think naysayers are always going to be there. Just ignore it. I have real thick skin. Mm-hmm. Not because I'm junky or anything, but I can care less what people say. It doesn't bother me. The only time it bothers me and I put an ear to it is when I know it's the truth. When I know it's the truth, then I'm like, okay, I need to fix this area, whatever it is, in me or whatever I'm doing. But when I know it's not the truth, it doesn't hurt me. So I tell people, if you know you have a product or a vision of a business and you know it's true for you, who cares what the rest say? It doesn't matter. I mean, why would you want other people's opinions that don't pay your bills, that they don't put a roof over your head, they're not your people, and even if they are, who cares? Just go with what your gut is. All these inventors, all these creators, they didn't care what people said. They kept going. Abraham Lincoln, he failed 8 times for 8 different elections. But yet he became the president. He never gave up. Who cares what people say? Who cares what they vote? Whether they vote for you or not, who cares? I teach my grandkids now that I've taught my kids. Who the heck cares? Just keep going. The only thing that matters is what you and your creator think of you. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Even if it's your closest person with you, it's between you and your creator. And again, it's people's faith. And if you don't have faith, then I don't know who because if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
I'm in trouble. Because then I've hit my limit. I can't go beyond that.
Yeah.
I cannot be the smart. I always have to depend. I do love community. Community is huge. Did it hurt me when a lot of, family kind of disconnected from me during that time? It did. Because they were also fearful that my daughter was dying, and they didn't want to be part of, how do we react to her daughter's like dying, and how do we react? We don't know how to react when someone gets like a chronic illness or a terminal illness. We don't know how to react, right? And that's what happened. The one thing I do want to tell people is if they're starting a vision, a business, an invention, make sure you are financially set. Don't get in debt. It's not worth getting in debt. So I've been a person that has saved. I divide my money in 3. This is the money I do not touch. This is the money, should I have an emergency, maybe I'll touch it. And this is the money that's fluid. It goes all my bills, whatever, snacks, whatever. But I stay true to the do not touch, because that is for big things, whether it's a house, whether it's a car, whether it's a business. And that's what I did. I got my savings on that. I really took a leap of faith on what I had left, because the patent was not cheap.
I
had left, I said, I'm going with what my gut says. I don't care. So I told a real close family member of mine, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And they told me, that's pathetic. How stupid can you be to do that?
Wow.
And I said, well, I know I'm not going to tell them anything anymore. So know the people that you know are the negative people in your life. Know it. Be respectful. But know not to open your heart to them anymore.
Yeah.
And now they cannot live without my toothpaste. And now they're like, you're so awesome. I'm so glad you did it. I don't remind them and say, oh, remember you said, no, I don't, right? Because we're supposed to love people.
Yes. I love that. And then how did you go about applying for your patent, if you could sum that up? I know there's people out there, too, that are listening that might want to have their own creation someday.
So, again, the power of Google. I probably contacted about 15 attorneys.
Wow.
And I found my attorney. He's out of Florida. He's also a professor at a university.
Okay.
And he is called the patent attorney.
Oh, there you go.
I am here telling, he doesn't even know I'm saying this, the patent, Rizvi, the patent attorney, and he was the guy. I researched him. I called so many. And all of them were like, oh, because, there's so many toothpaste out there. Yours is going to be just one of the bunch. It'll be this amount because I'm really going to have to research. And then when I found them, they're like, well, let us see what we can do. And so don't give up. I didn't. I went through about 15 attorneys. Again, it didn't. I make it sound like I sat down and did it. No, it took weeks to do, guys. So do the work. Don't shy. And if you work full time, obviously I wasn't working during COVID. 2020, but if you take the time, even now I'm working full time. I've got a busy schedule, but I still do this. So there's no excuse. It's just called being lazy. Yeah. Don't be lazy. Just do it. If it's in there, do it.
I love that. And then how does everyone connect to you? Share your socials. And again, your website's tru-eden.com. But you also have several socials, including TikTok and Instagram. And I believe you have a Facebook page. Yes. So do you want to share those with everybody?
Yes, actually, I am not a social media type person. So one of my daughter-in-laws helps me with that. Okay. So she does all of that. She just says, I just do the video, right? But she's the one that helped also with the website. She does all of that. I don't have to worry about that. But I am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course the website. And just, look it up under Tru-Eden. I think for TikTok, it's Tru_Eden. I think for Facebook, it's Tru-Eden toothpaste. But if you just put Tru-Eden, you'll see a picture of me holding a bottle like that. That's me. That's me.
Love that.
So yeah, they could, but to place orders, it would have to be through the website.
Okay.
Yes.
And then is there any last minute thoughts that you want to leave the audience with?
No, guys, it's just, I guess just, change your smile, change your life, guys. Don't look at life as it's, oh, I hate life. Oh, all the stuff going on from politics to what's right and what's wrong. Just kind of be on the positive. If someone could ask me, Leslie, what would you like right now? It's world peace. Just world peace. Everybody love everybody. Just, it's just about being kind and loving and maybe that's the green that I have in me. It's just bring it close to nature, bring it close how things are meant to be. Again, this may have nothing to do with my product. It doesn't. It just has to do with how you are in your core. Just kind of being kind and loving. Keep your boundaries, yes, but just, don't be on the defensive all the time, people. See, so many people, even when they're driving, they're on the defensive. I'm like, so that's probably what
Lead
would
with
be.
love. That's
Yes,
what
yes.
my saying is. So that's awesome.
I love it. Love it.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you for joining us here today. We were happy to have you as a guest.
Thank you.
And again, this is Leslie with Tru-Eden. And I will tag all of her socials. And thank you guys for viewing, and stay tuned for the next episode of Double E Elevating Entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Keep
Bye.
smiling.